Am I wrong for telling my girlfriend to stop eating? Story. My sister, F23, runs a bakery business and she's been struggling lately to keep up with orders because she's been short-staffed. She does a lot of orders for wedding cakes that require custard or marmalade fillings, and I offered to help her out by making these fillings at home and bringing them to her so she has less work to do. Unfortunately, the past 4 times I've made these fillings, my girlfriend, F24, has literally dipped her fingers into the filling jars and contaminated them because, in her words, she just wanted to try some. I've tried explaining to her that she can't dip her fingers in and contaminate the entire batch, because then I have to remake it. I said she should use a spoon and take some out if she wants to try so badly, but she just pouts and says that she likes using her fingers because it takes her back to her childhood. Today, I was trying to finish some chocolate custard to send it over to my sister really fast because she was running late on a wedding cake order for an important client. I told my girlfriend beforehand to not eat the custard, and if she really wanted to please use a spoon. I get out of the shower, and what do I see? She has her fingers in it again. I totally lost it because this was the 5th time she blatantly disregarded what I said, and I yelled at her and told her to stop eating the food I was making because it was not for her and she was contaminating it. She started crying and got mad at me for fat-shaming her, even though I made no comment on her weight and she has no history of weight issues or eating disorders. I know I was harsh, but she kept pushing my limits. Am I the bad guy here? Response 1. Does she also wear a diaper and draw on the walls with crayons because it reminds her of her childhood? Not the a-hole. Reply 1, right? Ugh, what is wrong with this girl? I'm sorry, but her wanting to feel like a child is pathetic, and I'm not really buying it. Is there maybe a reason she doesn't want you to help your sister? This feels like sabotage, like really blatant sabotage, especially since you always catch her doing it. I mean, think about it. You went to shower. Even the quickest shower takes at least 10 to 15 minutes. If she was just trying to sneak one taste, she had more than enough opportunity, yet she waited till she could hear the shower turn off and were coming into the kitchen to sneak some. Yeah, no. I don't know what her issue is. I don't know why she is actively trying to sabotage your sister's businesses, but this isn't about her just wanting to sneak some food. Note, I'm not advocating for this gross, unsanitary practice. I'm just saying, if it was purely about the food and the nostalgia of it or whatever, she had plenty of time for that. This isn't about the food. It's about you catching her tampering with the food and the food no longer being usable. This is really messed up. Is she maybe jealous? Maybe she feels you and your sister is taking attention from her. Maybe she's just a miserable witch with a capital B and just doesn't like your sister. Whatever her actual reasons, what she's doing is repulsive and inexcusable. Not the a-hole, by the way. I don't really care what her issue is. It needs to stop. Maybe until you figure out the problem, you can get something to lock the food up. Or, dump the immature harpy who's intentionally sabotaging your efforts to help a family member. Not the a-hole. Reply to this. Seriously though, reconsider this relationship, my friend. I know that Reddit always tends to jump to that, but she is showing you that she has absolutely no respect at all for either you or your sister, or either of your financial situations, as things like these ingredients cannot be cheap to keep on replacing. Also, is she just eating all of it when you have to replace it anyway? Because that's just selfish and manipulative of her in and of itself, if she is setting you up to get all of it for herself. But even if she isn't, she is still being selfish enough. Good luck, OP. Reply 3. Stop eating and stop eating that I am making for my sister's business with your fingers are entirely different phrases. From the post, it appears he said something approximating the latter, not the a-hole at all. She needs to stop. She needed to stop after the very first time. Does she have it out for the sister, or is she just insanely selfish? Reply 4. If she wants to be reminded of her childhood so badly, tell her to go eat paste or chew on a crayon. She's acting like a toddler that you can't trust to behave when you leave the room for more than a few seconds. Her blatant disregard for your very simple request reveals how very little respect she has for you in the process. She's definitely the AH here. I am curious about her relationship with your sister. Is it possible that she hates the fact that you're devoting time and energy, etc., to help your sister? If so, she's probably trying to ruin everything you create for your sister as a passive-aggressive way to get you to stop helping your sister. I think that makes more sense than someone her age wanting to remember her childhood by repeatedly dipping her fingers into other people's food. Just a thought. Response 2, not the a-hole. She's exhausted and sounds like she's trying to sabotage you by helping your sister. Reply 1. Yeah, especially since the last time he caught her dipping her fingers in right when he got out of the shower. What a coincidence. She just happened to be dipping her fingers in right at the one time that he would see her. Obviously, she wanted him to see her. Reply 2. She is deliberately doing this to cause an issue. It sounds like she doesn't like your sister at all and is incredibly selfish. Also, she is manipulative if she then accuses you of fat-shaming her. She is taking no responsibility for her behavior, and I'd be telling her to move out ASAP. Reply 3. Anyone with an ounce of common sense knows you don't stick your fingers in food you're making for other people, and she's been asked 5 times not to do it. She thinks what her boyfriend and his sister are doing is unimportant. Reply 4. Exactly this. She knows you can't send those items after she sticks her fingers in it, yet does it multiple times, and then plays victim. Makes up something that you never said, and it makes you look like the bad guy when you get mad at her for it. She wants it to be about her, brings me back to my childhood, and is mad when it isn't, helping your sister, not the a-hole. Reply 5. Also, yuck. I'm sorry, but even as children, we learned not to do this. My mother and father taught us good hygiene. Never stick your fingers in food. If you use a spoon to try something, only do it once and put the used spoon in the sink. Don't reuse. Don't double dip. It's rude to everyone. If you need to sneeze around food, sneeze into your elbow, etc. Clearly, OP's GF was an indulged child who is trying to get attention now because she feels OP's attention is on the sister. I'd be curious if OP set aside a little bit for her. Would she still dip her fingers in the batch for the sister? That would really solidify if this is attention-seeking sabotage or just narcissistic red flags, not the a-hole. Response 3. I am kind of wondering about her relationship with her sister. Some people can have an odd one with their partner's siblings. As for OP, not the a-hole, and don't apologize. Whether intentional or not, your GF could have jeopardized your sister's business. You have reiterated in plain English multiple times. Don't apologize, not even for your wording, tone, etc. You said she has never had issues with weight, and you made it perfectly clear that was not the issue. I'm still not well educated on the subject, but she may have used gaslighting here, as she's trying to make you think you did something that you clearly did not do, fat shaming. So don't apologize. In fact, as the way your sister makes a living is what's on the line here, do the exact opposite and have this reaction every time your girlfriend does this. Reply 1. Please can you elaborate on this part? Some people can have an odd one with their partner's siblings. I'm autistic and struggle to understand certain behaviors. My brother's wife always made me feel super uncomfortable because she treated me like the other woman, like she'd constantly put me down about my appearance. Not to be rude, but I'm quite attractive by the social standards of attractiveness, while my Sil is quite a big lady. She'd always act jealous and possessive with my brother, and it freaked me out. Like, I'm not his hot coworker or friend or neighbor. I'm his freaking sister, and my brother isn't some sort of incestuous creep. Is this what you mean by the comment that I quoted? I never mentioned this to anyone because I just couldn't process it. It's so gross and creepy and weird that I didn't want to say this out loud to anyone. Reply 2. Yes, exactly this. Even IRL, I've known people who are jealous of their partner's siblings like they're competition or something. I'm an only child, married to another only child, but honestly, if I had a partner who had siblings they were close to, I would love that. As long as they genuinely enjoyed each other's company and felt that each was a positive presence in the other's life. Reply 3. Many times, it's just jealousy and selfishness. People want their romantic partner to be 100% focused on them and not their families, friends, jobs, etc. It usually has nothing to do with sex or their insecurity about someone else's appearance. It's just they want their SO's time to be spent only with them or only on them. By insulting you, your brother's wife was trying to get you to stay away from your brother and her so his attention wouldn't be divided. Reply 4. I imagine she's acting this way because of displaced insecurity. Being a bigger lady makes her feel bad about herself. Seeing you, an attractive young woman, makes her jealous. She finds you attractive, so she assumes her husband does too. She's forgetting your siblings, and 99.9% of siblings would never be attracted to each other. You're just another woman, and therefore competition. It's pretty and weird on her part. Reply 5. I had the opposite experience. My sister-in-law lost her shit when I got serious with my now husband and went on a crazy rant about how he didn't need her anymore because he had Junior Fig now. But she saw him as a walking ATM therapist fixer, so of course she was mad. She also assumed, erroneously, that she was going to be a bridesmaid in our wedding after making sure everyone knew she thought I wasn't good enough for her brother. So yeah, seals, one way or the other. Response 4. This is something a child would do, and it's super gross. Not the a-hole. Reply 1. My family bakes a lot, and when I was a kid, the ultimate reward was to be given the mixing spoon or the mixer beaters at the end of the batch. There was no sticking your fingers into something someone else was eating. Now, I'm an adult with no kids, so the mixing spoon is always mine at the end. Flawless victory. Reply 2. Bruh, my mom had a spoon, and that's what I used whenever I wanted to take a taste of whatever she was baking. I thought all parents teach their children at a young age not to put their fingers on raw food. Also, I think it was her way of cutting me off, so I don't just keep taking more food, since she wouldn't double dip the spoon back in the bowl after. Reply 3. I got in trouble in daycare for putting my finger in the bowl while my class was doing some baking project. In daycare, they expected me to know this. So, if your adult girlfriend is being taken back to childhood, why don't you yell at her the way I got yelled at as a child for doing this? Response 5. Not the a-hole. Calling her out for contaminating food that's intended for commercial sale to other people because she wants to relive her childhood is absolutely appropriate. Hiding behind the fat-shaming nonsense seems like a way to try to escape accountability for her total lack of self-control. Reply 1. It's not even a lack of self-control. She could use a spoon. She's doing this intentionally and maliciously. There's more to the story. Maybe she doesn't like the attention and time the brother is giving his sister. Basically a massive PETA who's gonna make his life miserable. Reply 2. Also, OP really shouldn't be making commercial food at home. If he really wants to help, he should go help at the bakery. The reason for that is that the bakery is approved by the health inspector, whereas OP's home kitchen is not. It opens up liability to his sister to prepare food in a non-commercial kitchen. Reply 3. I'm a little concerned that this is not being done to the food hygiene standards required for commercial sale. Even without the dippy-fingered princess, don't you guys have general standards for where food can be produced? Where I'm from, you would have to go to a commercial kitchen or have your kitchen certified, which is damn near impossible unless you build a separate purpose-built room. Reply 4. Honestly, I wouldn't feel comfortable knowing that any part of my food came from a private residence where a grown-ass woman is sticking her fingers in it to bring her back to childhood. This can't be food safe, and I suspect it would be a problem for your sister if health inspectors found out that some commercial ingredients were being prepared in an off-site private residence. Reply 5. His sister could get sued if people get sick eating her shit, and it comes back to, one of my prep people prepared the food in an unsafe environment where someone was sticking their fingers into the food after eating it. Like, this is legitimately serious. Like, holy hell, he even said, if you have to do this, use a spoon, and she still refused. She's a serious risk to people, and his entire sister's operation is contaminated because of her actions. She's willingly done this almost half a dozen times that he knows about alone. How many times has she done this where he didn't catch her? It's vile. I'm all for indulging whimsy for funsies and embracing my inner child, but I don't indulge with other people's food, and most certainly not for commercial consumption. Response 6. Not the a-hole. At this point, she is doing it on purpose. In front of you or right when you are ready to catch her? Yeah, she is purposefully ruining things for some reason. Break up with her. This person is sabotaging and wasting your time, but worse, she is sabotaging your sister. Reply 1. Agreed. This is so deliberate. She's not even pretending she forgot, just insisting that because she wants to, it's fine. There's gotta be something else going on here, and some weird passive-aggressive desire to ruin things is the most likely answer. Not the a-hole. Reply 2. This kind of reminds me of the person whose girlfriend would take a bite out of everything he was eating. When he called her about it, she said she thought it was cute. She wouldn't stop, So they broke up. End of problem. Reply 3. Or the one where OP was confused about why her new boyfriend blew up on her after she switched their orders. 3/4 of the time, they went out for dinner because she liked to order adventurously but didn't like what she got, and her dad would always switch with her. Reply 4. I mean, my boyfriend does this for me, but like rarely, not on the regular. But he's a really adventurous eater and is happily eating just about anything. Meanwhile, I'm sensitive to spice. I never ask him, but if something is really not to my liking, and on the rare chance that we weren't already committed to going halfsies anyways, then he offers. Response 7. Not the a-hole. That's so unhygienic and even unethical. Had I been a customer, I would never order again. Gross. Reply 1. Don't worry. I never sent over the batches my girlfriend contaminated. I remade them each time. Reply 2. Do you think it's possible she resents you helping your sister and is deliberately sabotaging you? This behavior is just off the charts ridiculous. Reply 3. Or does she get to eat the rest of the batch after she contaminates it? Maybe that's the real motivation. Reply 4. Or she just thinks it's quirky and funny and enjoys OP getting worked up over her childish behavior. Some people just like ticking other people off. OP should either go the full mile and revoke certain privileges. I don't know, no Netflix, no takeouts unless she is paying, since she insists on playing a child, or have a heart-to-heart along the following lines. I'm not your father. I'm not your mother. You are an adult, and while I understand that you want to relive your childhood, what you are doing is actively attempting to harm my sister's business, and your conduct could make someone very sick, or at worst, dead. Do you want your actions to be the cause of someone's pain? Do you understand that you playing at being childish could cost so many different people, including people dear to me, so many different things? Resources? Because now I have to make the custard again. My sister's business, her good name, her customers' health. Keeping in mind that there are plenty of allergies where GF could be the source of cross-contamination. Say, she got into some peanuts first and did not wash her hands. Because this realistically can happen. That is why there are tons of health and safety regulations when it comes to handling food. In some countries, you can't even do it out of your own kitchen. You gotta have a commercial one, up to par with the legislation, even if it's outside in a shed, as long as it ticks the boxes. I mean, I guess he can also ask whether she is trying to prove something to someone or is deliberate in her actions of ruining the batches, even after OP offered a reasonable compromise. As it was pointed out, jealousy over attention to OP's sister could be a factor, or a two birds with one stone case. In the spirit of Anton Ego from Ratatouille, food is not a game. You can play around with it, but you always have to respect it. Yes, I'm also quite frequently angered by the food fight scenes in movies, or, well, depending on whose place it is, moving out, or getting a small fridge with a lock. Reply 5. My mom is like this. She'll keep doing things you asked her not to do because she thinks she's being cute and funny. Then when you finally lose it, she cries and pouts in her room, or rather my guest room, since she still does this at 70. And my dad yells at me for upsetting your mother. The only solution I've found is to explain that what she's doing is hurting me, not while she's doing it, or she'll feel attacked, and ask her why she wants to hurt me. She just can't comprehend that I'm serious until I say that. I'm very LC with my parents, but I deal with it for my kids. I would not deal with this with a partner. It's exhausting. Reply 6. My mother is a chain smoker. I used to complain about the stench and the smoke, and she always said that I could only tell her what to do when I got a house of my own. A few years later, I got a house of my own, and she came to visit. She lit up a cigarette, and I asked her to smoke it outside. She stood just outside the kitchen door, so technically she was outside, but she deliberately turned her head and exhaled and blew the smoke directly into the kitchen and giggled like a 3-year-old. When I closed the door on her, she had a temper tantrum and cut her visit short. There are good reasons why I haven't spoken to her in years. Response 8. Not the a-hole. She is being so beyond weird, making it a thing to use her fingers. Even needing to use a spoon is ridiculous. I mean, how does she lack such self-control? Can she not make more just for her or go buy another treat? It's for a purpose, to help a business. It should not be this hard to not eat some. I think you've been nice to say she can have it with a spoon for her to disregard it. To be gross is so weird. In my opinion, it also shows that she doesn't care about your sister's business, and that is awful and selfish. If you were saying it for her eating in general, it would be a different thing, obviously. But this isn't the case, and she is projecting her insecurities. Reply 1. Man, I even offered to bring her slices of cake home. Because when I go to drop off the custard to my sister, she usually offers to give me a slice of cake or a pastry as a thank you for helping out. But my girlfriend refused that too. Reply 2, I'm sorry, but I just find that so insane. I'm guilty of having low self-control when it comes to sweet treats, but I would never take something, especially if my partner asked me not to, and definitely not if it was for a real reason and something as significant as helping someone's livelihood. You have done the right thing and done as much as you can to compromise, so don't doubt yourself. You've done all you can do, in my opinion. Reply 3. If she wanted to try it so badly and indulge childhood memories, why not ask to lick the splash bowl after he's put the custard into its container? Like when I was a kid, my favorite part of helping my mom in the kitchen was I got to lick the spoon while my siblings had to share the bowl or container. The only time I use my fingers is if I made it, and there's not enough left over to use it for anything else, and I don't feel like doing more dishes, but then I'm not touching the cake, filling, frosting, just the leftovers. Reply 4. Honestly, at this point, it's on purpose. I don't know if it's some kind of weird power play or she's just still basically a toddler who thinks the world revolves around them, but it's way unacceptable. I'm not sure what other good qualities your girlfriend has that you've continued to date her, but you might want to reevaluate some things. You deserve to date someone who shows basic respect, not the a-hole. Reply 5. She's doing it to mess with you. It sounds like some messed up power play, doing something you have explicitly and repeatedly asked her not to do. Honestly, I would have dumped her for the 3rd time. Don't buy into her crocodile tears. She's not a freaking child to be acting like this. Not the a-hole. Response 9. Not the a-hole. I know everyone likes to break up over every little thing in here, but I would break up over this. She is showing a lot about her character by doing this over and over. Doesn't care about your labor. Doesn't care about your sister's business and reputation. Doesn't care about people's weddings. Doesn't take science seriously about the existence of bacteria. Doesn't believe in food safety. I'd never be able to eat something she cooked, ever. God only knows what kind of gross things she does when making food, like cross-contamination with raw meats, or like those gross TikToks where people prep food in the sink. So I'd never live with her. It's not about her weight. There's something totally weird happening here, and I am sure it crosses over into other aspects of all her relationships. Reply 1. I think a lot of the time, break up over this is justified when it's not about the physical action. It's the intent. And here the GF is blatantly and repeatedly demonstrating that she doesn't respect or give a shit about OP, his sister, or reasonable expectations of adult behavior. The most recent time adds, willing to use manipulative tactics, guilt, and redirection to avoid responsibility for her actions, to the list. That's not something that should be tolerated by an 8-year-old, much less an adult. Response 10. Not the a-hole. It had nothing to do with her weight and everything to do with her not respecting a boundary you've been trying to set. That makes perfect sense. You shouldn't have to keep wasting your time and money because she keeps contaminating food to sell to other people. You even gave the spoon as a compromise, though she'd probably double and triple dip the spoon. Yelling wasn't nice, but I understand you've been pushed to the breaking point. Honestly, the fact that she's so determined on screwing up your sister's business is childish. I wouldn't stay with her. She sounds selfish as hell. Reply 1. Not only the selfish and childish stuff, but OP, if she accidentally knocks your toothbrush into the toilet, is she just gonna put it back like nothing because she doesn't think contamination is a real thing? If she has another penis in her, is she not going to tell you because contamination isn't anything she even thinks about? Something wrong with this girl. She sounds dangerous. Does she not know that there's still an airborne plague happening that is spread by touching things related to the mouth? Response 11. Not the a-hole. You've told her multiple times not to stick her fingers in the food like a child. It's ridiculous that you even had to tell her that once, let alone 5 times. Does she realize how much trouble your sister could get in if she were to use that food? Reply 1. I was thinking that it's like my 5-year-old bursting into tears when she's done something she shouldn't, and I pull her up on it. Response 12. Not the a-hole. There's something wrong with her. If she can't enjoy it without sticking her fingers in it, she can take a spoonful of it, stick it in another bowl, and then stick her fingers in that bowl. I can't thank you enough for caring about the contamination that nobody would know about unless someone got sick. I actually love you for caring about this. Thank you, it's absolutely disgusting what she is doing. Response 13. Not the a-hole. How disgusting. You are preparing food to be served to the public, and she is putting her fingers in it because she wants to pretend she is a child again? Actually, both pathetic and disgusting. Give her a small bowl of filling to play with, although I'd recommend throwing her out of your kitchen/home entirely while you are working. Treat her as a child if she wants to be a child. Response 14. Not the a-hole. Your girlfriend sounds like a spoiled child. Her actions could cause issues with your sister's bakery. How disgusting. Would she want to eat a cake she purchased if she knew someone had been sampling the frosting with their hands? You had every right to yell at her. What she did was really gross and not okay, and for her to gaslight you and play the victim when you got upset, ridiculous. Also, you have to wonder how many times she's done this when you haven't caught her in the act. Gross. Your girlfriend owes you and your sister a huge apology. Reply 1. I'm surprised it's legal for OP to make the filling in his own kitchen in the first place, but even small businesses, I assume, have to comply with OSHA. Such blatant disregard for food safety could easily lead to a huge fine for OP's sister. Response 15. Not the a-hole. Your girlfriend sounds like a spoiled, petulant, disrespectful child. What she's doing is disgusting. You're unselfishly helping your sister, and your girlfriend is undermining your efforts. Sanitary conditions are of the utmost importance in food preparation. How does she not get this? I hope you don't eat anything she cooks. Why are you with someone who has no regard for your simple request or your hard work? Response 16. Not the a-hole. You are trying to support your sister's business and already provided sensible boundaries to your girlfriend. She can have a taste, but use a spoon to not contaminate it. That is fair enough. To ignore that rule more than once is rude. She knows well enough that you have to remake everything, which costs time and money. Then, when you finally snap after catching her breaking this, again, sensible rule, for a 5th time, she gaslights you with crying. Get rid. She will do this again and make you feel bad for her bad attitude. Good luck. Response 17. She must be doing this to spite you, since you've explained to her many times why she can't stick her fingers in it. You also didn't stop her from trying the batch because you offered her the solution of using a clean spoon to taste it. She has clear boundary issues, not to mention that she has disgusting habits of sticking her dirty hands into other people's food and using her childhood as an excuse for her bad behavior. Except she's a grown woman, not a child. If someone accidentally gets sick from eating the cake, your sister has to take the blame. People don't realize how quickly mold and bacteria grow from when you touch perishable food that has moisture.